Hello. Today we're covering marketing mix modeling, MMM, one of the most powerful and most talked about tools in marketing analytics right now. It answers a question every brand with a marketing budget eventually asks. Of all the money we're spending across TV, digital, promotions, and everything else, which activities are actually driving our sales? By the end of this, you'll understand how MMM works, what it produces, and how to use it to make smarter budget decisions. Let's start with the problem. Here's a situation that happens constantly in marketing teams. Sales are up, everyone wants credit. The TV team says the brand's campaign drove it. The digital team points to their conversion numbers. The trade team says the in-store promotion was the real driver. Everyone has data that appears to support their case, but they're all looking at partial pictures of the same reality. And without a method that looks at all the channels together simultaneously and isolates each one's contribution, you genuinely can't know who's right. Budget decisions end up being based on internal politics and instinct rather than evidence. The core insight of marketing mix modeling is this: not all marketing spend works equally. A dollar spent on TV and a dollar spent on price promotions might look the same on a budget spreadsheet, but they generate completely different amounts of sales for different types of customers over different time horizons. MMM is the method that makes the difference visible. It tells you, for every channel in your mix, how many dollars of sales each marketing dollar actually generated. And once you know that, everything about how you allocate your budget changes. Marketing mix modeling is a statistical method that uses your historical sales data and your historical marketing spend data together to quantify the contribution of each marketing activity to total sales, and to estimate the return on investment of each channel. It doesn't rely on individual user tracking. It doesn't need cookies. It works from the aggregate numbers: total sales week by week, total spend by channel week by week, and a set of external factors that also affect sales. From those inputs, the model separates out how much each channel contributed. That's the whole idea. Here's why you're hearing so much about MMM right now. For years, brands relied on digital attribution, tracking individual users across touch points to understand which ads led to which purchases. That approach is becoming less and less reliable as third-party cookies disappear and privacy regulations tighten. Attribution is losing its foundation. MMM doesn't have that problem because it works entirely from aggregate data. Total sales, total spend, market conditions, with no individual tracking required. It's privacy safe, it works across all channels, including TV and offline, and it's having a major resurgence as brands look for a reliable alternative to cookie-based measurement. Let's make this concrete with a real scenario. Oatwave is a plant-based oat milk brand that has been running national marketing for a full year. Their mix includes 4 main activities: TV advertising, digital advertising across social and search, in-store price promotions at key retailers, and distribution expansion, getting their product into more stores. Over that year, their sales grew 22% year over year. The team knows sales went up. What they don't know is which parts of the marketing mix drove that growth, and which parts might not be pulling their weight. That's exactly what MMM will tell them. The heart of MMM is a concept called sales decomposition, splitting your total sales into 2 parts. The first is base sales, what you'd sell with no marketing at all. This is driven by the brand's equity you've built over time, your distribution footprints, and the organic demand that exists in the category. Base sales are your floor. They'd happen even if you ran no ads. The second part is incremental sales. the additional volume that each specific marketing activity produced on top of that floor. TV drove some of those incremental sales, digital drove some, promotions drove some. MMM's job is to separate those contributions precisely, to assign it the right amount of credit to each channel. To run an MMM, you need two types of data. The dependent variable, the thing you're trying to explain, is your weekly or monthly sales volume. Then the independent variables, the things that might be causing the sales to move, include TV spends and GRPs, which is a measure of how many people saw your TV ads and how often, digital spends by channel, price and promotional activity, distribution, how many stores are stocking the product, seasonality indicators, and external factors like broader economic conditions or competitive activity. The quality of the model depends entirely on the quality and completeness of these inputs. Good data in, reliable outputs. Missing or messy data, and the model's conclusions become harder to trust. Here's what Oatway's decomposition looks like. Of their total sales, 55% came from base demand. More than half of what they sell would have happened without any marketing activity. TV contributed 18% of total sales, digital 12%, price promotions 9%, and distribution growth, getting into more stores, contributed 6%. Together, that 45% of incremental sales is what the marketing investment produced. Now look at the breakdown. TV was the single biggest marketing driver, nearly double digital. And distribution, while contributing a small percentage of total sales, delivered a strong return relative to what was invested. The picture is already telling Oatway where to look. The decomposition tells you what percentage of sales each channel drove, but to understand whether each channel is worth what you're spending on it, you need the ROI. How many dollars of sales each marketing dollar generated? For Oatway, distribution investment returns $3.20 in sales for every dollar spent. TV returns $2.10. Digital returns $1.85. And price promotions return only 70 cents, meaning Oatway is generating 70 cents of sales for every dollar they spend on promotions. That's a net loss on promotional spending. This is often one of the most confronting findings in an MMM. Promotions feel like they're driving volume because they spike short-term sales visibly, but when you measure the actual return, they often underperform significantly. Here's a concept that changes how you think about every channel in your mix. Diminishing returns. The first dollar you spend on TV advertising might generate $4 of sales. You're reaching people who'd never heard of Oatway, and the impact is significant. But as you spend more, you start reaching the same people multiple times. The 10th dollar generates less than the first. The 100th dollar might generate less than $1 of sales. You've gone past the point where additional TV spend is producing meaningful growth. That's the saturation point, and every channel has one. MMM reveals where each one of your channels currently sits on that curve. If a channel is already past saturation, you're wasting money there. If it hasn't reached saturation, you might have room to invest more. This is where MMM becomes directly actionable rather than just descriptive. Once you know the ROI and the diminishing returns curve for each channel, the model can simulate what happens if you reallocate budget. For Oatway, take $200,000 out of price promotions, which are returning only 70 cents per dollar. Put it into TV, which is returning $2.10 per dollar and hasn't yet reached saturation. The model predicts that shift produces an additional $280,000 in incremental sales from the same total marketing budget, just allocated differently. That simulation is what makes an MMM a planning tool rather than just a reporting tool. It tells you not just what happens, but what to do next. One of the things that makes MMM genuinely powerful is that it also isolates the effect of things outside your control. So you get a cleaner read on what your marketing is actually doing. Oatwave's sales spike every January. Some of that is marketing driven, but a meaningful portion is a seasonal consumer behavior. New year, new habits. That would have happened regardless of what they spent. In Q3, a competitor ran an aggressive promotion that dampens Oatwave's digital performance. By controlling for these external factors in the model, MMM separates the signal, your marketing's true contribution, from the noise of things happening around you in the market. MMM isn't a tool you can run after your first quarter of marketing. It needs history. Specifically, it needs to see enough variation in your marketing spend and market conditions over time to reliably separate each channel's contribution from everything else. The general guideline is at least 1 to 2 years of weekly data. More history means more reliable outputs. It's typically run annually or biannually, and the results feed directly into the next year's budget planning cycle. Think of it as a planning tool rather than a real-time dashboard. It looks backwards at what happened in order to inform what comes next. It's worth being clear about how MMM fits alongside digital attribution, because they're often positioned as competitors when they're actually complementary. Digital attribution measures individual level touch points. It tracks specific users through specific digital interactions and assigns credit to specific ads or campaigns. It's fast, granular, and great for a campaign level optimization, but it's incomplete. It can't see TV, it can't see offline, and it overcredits the last touch point before a purchase. MMM does the opposite. It can't tell you which specific creative or campaign performed, but it measures the contribution of every channel, including offline, at an aggregate level and doesn't require any individual tracking. Used together, they give you the most complete picture of your marketing's performance. Let's be balanced. The strengths of MMM are significant. It measures all channels including TV and offline, which attribution can't do. It's privacy safe with no individual tracking required. It reveals the true ROI of each channel in your mix, including the underperforming ones that would otherwise keep getting budget by default. And the simulation capability makes it directly actionable for budget planning. The limitations are equally real. It requires 1 to 2 years of historical data, which means newer brands can't use it yet. It's backward looking. It tells you what works in the past, which may not perfectly predict a rapidly evolving channel landscape. It can't optimize at the campaign or creative level, and building a reliable model requires either specialist experience or dedicated MMM software. This isn't something most marketing teams can DIY without support. Six things to take with you. Total sales equals base demands plus the incremental contributions from each marketing channel. Separating those contributions is the whole method. MMM shows you what's actually driving growth, not what your internal teams believe is driving growth. Every channel has diminishing returns. MMM tells you where each channel sits on that curve and whether you're spending past the productive range. Use ROI by channel to reallocate budget toward higher return activities before the next planning cycle. Combine MMM with digital attribution to get both the broader channel view and the campaign level detail. They're complementary, not competing. And run it annually feeding the results directly into your next budget plan. Get this right, and you stop guessing about what's working and start knowing. Thank you for watching.